What's up, Spilled Milkers? Andrew Zimmern here. Apologies. Traveling, working. Substack suffered this week. I promise to make it up to you next week. Lots of fun things happening. We'll have some extra drops for you. It's Ask Me Anything time, so let's get right to it, even though that's a day or two tardy, right? Joe writes, Chef, I'd love to get your take on my culinary nemesis, cassoulet. Joe, I can just tell you what my experience with cassoulet is. One of my top 10 dishes. The minute the weather turns to looking like it does out there, I start thinking cassoulet. For those that don't know, it's a classic bean and preserved meat dish, garlicky, breadcrumb topped. It gets its name from being cooked in a clay vessel that's like a bowl. It's called a cassoule. It's French. And typically it's made with tarbay beans that have been simmered in a tomatoey and garlicky broth with herbs. And then what you do is you put pieces of duck and pork confit and saucisson l'ail, garlic sausage, and other smoked and preserved meats, different confits and things. The more, the merrier. And then you bake it in the oven with breadcrumbs, and it just becomes a crusty, beany melange of awesome. So I love it. So I'm not sure why you call it your culinary nemesis, Joe. If you by that mean to say that it's very difficult to make, it actually isn't. And the reason is this. You can get phenomenal smoked pork hocks in any supermarket. You can get chicken confit and duck confit and saucisson l'ail from online retailers like D'Artagnan. I think it's literally d'Artagnan.com. And you can make your own breadcrumbs, really easy. And you can buy the beans in a supermarket. You can get flageolet beans. You can make them with white beans. You can, I mean, don't not make the dish or knock yourself because you're not making them with tarbay beans or whatever. And you can simmer them in that tomato-infused winey liquid until they're done, then reduce that liquid, build your base, put all the meats in them, and bake it for 45 minutes. And then top it with breadcrumbs for 15. I mean, you'll smash it out of the park. Jennifer writes, Hi, Andrew. Hi, Jennifer. I haven't tried cooking with sardines before. My favorite. My heart breaks a little bit reading that. Can you please tell me the best way to cook them? Do you have a vendor you prefer? I love cooking all types of small silverfish. Sardines are about yay big. Anything around that size qualifies for me. They tend to be fatty, and you can simply run a penknife down the belly, use your finger and swipe out the guts, scale them, and I just simply brush them with olive oil and grill them, or brush them with olive oil and throw them under a broiler. They require very little cooking. The moment they're done, or just to the point of being done, they're done. And take them out and just dress them with parsley and olive oil. Maybe serve them with some roasted red peppers and, a few pieces of grilled or sauteed onion. There really is nothing better. The Japanese have many, many species of silverfish. Ones that they call shishimo and sanma, and so many different varieties. And they clean them as well and then cook them over binchotan charcoal and just serve them with a little bit of soy and lemon juice mixed 2-to-1 in proportion, soy to lemon juice, a little bit of grated radish, out of sight, and a bowl of rice. That's just about my favorite dinner in the whole world. So whether you take them in a Mediterranean way or whether you go in something Japanese, by all means, eat them. When it comes to vendors, right now it's fall. You can find online lots of places up and down the East Coast. Start with Maine Lobster Now. They don't just sell lobster, it's actually a consortium. I buy from them. It's a consortium of fishermen who've pooled their resources during COVID and started shipping online. Go to your local fish store, ask your local fishmonger that you want small species of silverfish. I mean, you can do the same thing even with little porgies that are a little rounder, but still small. I mean, anything in that teeny category. And that includes small mackerel as well, which I adore. Stephen writes, would love to know your thoughts on the show The Bear. How true to reality is the back of the house that this series focuses on? It's as true as it needs to be. I think The Bear is a fantastic show. I think what Storer, Frere, Essio have created and helped create along with their writers and producers, that's brother and sister. Anyway, long story short, I happen to think it's fantastic. The acting is great. They capture the essence of what it is. Now, it's a TV show. So, of course, what you have to do to make things entertaining, it's not that things like that don't happen at restaurants. It's that sometimes when you're creating a story, you have to accelerate the circumstances of things. I remember an episode at the, I'm like pulling a Scott Conant. I've opened up my chest too much. I remember at the beginning of the first season, trying to remember back, there was an episode, either the first or second, where Carmi, they were complaining of money, they didn't have any, and Carmi was insisting that someone be experimenting with how to cook a better type of beef. Now, some people have said to me, well, why would you be doing, if you don't have any money, why would you be doing that? And all the rest of that kind of BS. Well, quite frankly, what the point that they're trying to make is, you want to try to improve the food. I mean, that stuff happens. It may not happen exactly like that or that quickly, or you're not going to find that type of group of employee. And certainly, I don't think anyone's relative would stuff a bunch of, pain meds down someone's, into some lemonade and allow children to drink it, which was a very funny scene, by the way. All those kids napping on the lawn, such angels. So are there exaggerations? Sure. But does stuff like that actually happen? Yes. But more importantly, it is the ups and downs, the vagaries and emotions, the conflicts and the challenges of working in a restaurant environment, and the emotional and physical toil that it takes on a human being that they have captured the essence of, while at the same time creating interesting stories around a food space. So huge home run, in my opinion. And this last week just got renewed for a third season. Justin writes, how can I elevate my smoothie game? I usually just use banana, frozen fruit, some almond milk. How about not using bananas, frozen fruit, and some almond milk? I know it's a wise ass answer. Sorry, it was right there. I like yogurt, a little bit of ice, and lots of frozen fruit. And it's a great thing when you have 5 or 6 overripe peaches or nectarines or a whole bunch of grapes or a bunch of overripe bananas. Just throw them in the freezer and then use those frozen to do it. So then you have to use less dairy product, right, to create that smoothie. It's mostly fruit. Now, one of the problems with liquidizing fruit is the sugar aspect of it. Your body wants to eat fruit and digest the roughage, so it slowly disperses the sugar out into your system. One of the problems in our country is we have a diabetes epidemic, and the more liquidized sugar we consume, the worse that is. I will say this, fruits that are glycemically low, so not overripe bananas, mixed with yogurt and ice and a nut milk or something is a fantastic thing. But start to experiment with some of the other flavors that you might want to throw in there and concentrate them. What about berry purees? I love buying berries in the summertime at the farmer's market when they're half off because they're a little overly ripe, and just puree them and strain them and throw them in the freezer in, little half cup Ziploc bags. Perfect for smoothies, as is frozen. You just dip them into water and slide that out right in there. I also like savory smoothies. And I know this is gonna freak some people out, but growing up, I had a friend's family that would drink what they called blended salad all the time. And it confused me because I just called it gazpacho. That would be a tomato salad that's blended, right? Think about it. Think about the ingredients. Get it? Blended salad. But when you start pureeing lettuce and celery and carrot and onion, and you season it with, say, some lemon juice and a little bit of olive oil, maybe some nuts, you have an incredible savory smoothie, right? That's great. Speaking of things to throw in there, date shakes are really popular out in California, in the desert, in Florida, places where date palms flourish. Try making a date shake. They're fantastic. And load that up. So yeah, anything you can puree, I'm all for. Ty writes, I have a friend that bought me a little over 1.5 pounds of New England blue crab. I hope it was picked. And I'm assuming you mean the Chesapeake Bay blue crab, right? Because if it's from north of the Cape, chances are it's, Piquito crab or a different species. Do you have a crab cake recipe that you'd like to share? Yes, I do. Arguably, the recipe that I'm proudest of is my own Maryland crab cake recipe. I was blessed that many years ago, Food and Wine put it in the magazine. They put it online. It's become, I think, still the most downloaded recipe online. At foodandwine.com, and it is a perennial mainstay of their best 40 recipes in the history of Food and Wine, which every couple of months they splash back out on Twitter and stuff like that. And I'm just like, every time I see it, I can't believe the company that I'm in there with, Jacques Pepin, Edna Lewis, and just incredible chefs and really famous dishes. But yeah, my crab cake recipe is at andrewzimmern.com. Just put crab cake in there. When it comes to other ways that I serve it, really good crab, I try to keep it as simple as possible. So a little bit of butter and garlic and parsley quickly tossed with some pasta. I will serve it over chiffonade, very thin lettuce, like shreddus, with some sliced tomatoes, and then make a remoulade sauce. Remoulade sauce also on my website. Just pour a little bit of that over the cold crabs. It's a crab salad. Those are probably how I consume it most often. Julie writes, it's getting to the end of the garden season here in the Midwest. You bet it is. I mean, it's actually, there's frozen mist in the air here. It's about 32 degrees and it wants to rain. Julie says she's pulling Sungolds, okra, charred parsley, and Jimmy Nardello's out of her garden. Wow, you must be in the southern Midwest. After pickling, smothering, and frying the okra, I'm now still floating in okra. Yes, dehydrate it or fry it. Fried crispy okra is probably my favorite way to eat it. And I hate to say it because I don't have one or use it, but you can do it in your air fryer. I actually fry it. But the other thing you can do is cut them in half, brush them with oil, line a whole sheet pan, and throw them in a 350 degree oven until they're brown and crispy. It will take an hour, but you will love it. Julie writes, maybe another Julie, maybe not. I was visiting Long Beach Fisherman's Market and picked up some live strawberry spot prawn, stone crab, uni, sea urchin, bluefin tuna, black cod, and whelks. Oh my God, can I come to dinner at your house? Those whelks threw me for a loop, don't they though? I followed the fisherman's advice and cooked them, boiled them for 7 minutes, cleaned them, chopped them, adding lemon, garlic, parsley, tarragon, and extra virgin olive oil to make a salad. Yes, that's a very, very classic Italian-inspired way to do it. It was rubber bands, which tells me I overcooked them. Well, you may have undercooked them too. I asked my catering buddy who lives there how he prepared them, and he said he'd not worked with them. No, you've got to be... You have to have grown up on the coast. Whelks, often, well, in Italy known as scungili, have been cooked. Usually people put them, boil them for a couple minutes, pick them out, and then cook them a second time, sometimes under pressure, sometimes just steam for a half hour, 45 minutes, then slice them very, very thin. The Japanese do something very cool. They steam them for about a half an hour and let them come to room temperature. And then they pour a little bit of soy sauce, sugar, rice vinegar mixture in there, just like a tablespoon or so. And then they put them set on a little table charcoal thing. And when it bubbles, they let it go for about a minute so it heats through, and then you pick it out and eat it. So it's sort of twice cooked. And I've done that outside of the shell with great success. I also like making fritters out of them after they're cooked and tender, or just putting them in pasta. I love scungili. But you either have to, kind of like abalone, paper thin sliced and raw, in which case they present still a very crispy, chewy thing, or cook them for a long time. Experiment with them. Hi, Andrew. I grew up in San Antonio and have lived here in the Twin Cities for many years. Welcome. I really appreciate and deeply miss good, high-quality, authentic tortillas straight off the grill. Sure. Do you know a place in the Twin Cities where I might find some? Nixta, N-I-X-T-A. They make their own. They're delicious. My favorite tortilleria. They've now opened a restaurant in the back. There are a lot of other Mexican restaurants here in the Twin Cities. We have a very robust Mexican population. So a lot of restaurants make their own and sell their own tortillas. What you find at typical Minnesota grocery store is just not the same. Yeah, why are you buying them at a grocery store? Right? I mean, I hate to say it. I think it's more of a European thing. Do I shop at grocery stores? Of course I do. But I also shop at the fish store for fish, and the meat store for meat, and the bread store for bread. So if you're looking for true excellence, I mean, the grocery store is going to have broad-based mainline ingredients. You want specialty stuff, go to a specialist. Karen writes, you said you have a $25 dehydrator. Which one do you use? It's like a no-name brand that I bought on Amazon during their 66% off sale. I think regularly it's like $75. It has like 9 trays. It's gray. It's about 2 feet long and about 1 foot across. And it just has like a dial for like low, medium, high, and an on-off button. That's it. And I'm not even sure I've seen a brand name on it, to be honest with you. There's always a dehydrator on Amazon that's on sale. Try it. Worst thing that happens is it doesn't work. Olivia writes, what Halloween candy is underrated? York peppermint patties. I just think they're eternally underrated. Or little boxes of Junior Mints. Can you see a theme here? I love chocolate and mint. I'm huge on candy corn, but not in corn shape. I like the little mini pumpkins and the little like brown ghosts with the other shapes in the mix that are candy corn texture and flavor, but not corn shaped. What else do I love? Look at me. So I like the classics, like with anything else. So, throw me a couple Smarties. Let me have some Junior Mints. My kid was into Butterfingers, and I used to steal his candy at Halloween because no kid should have as much. He would stay out until he had 2 pillowcases full. 40 pounds of candy. He was only 50 pounds himself, and he would be dragging these things down the street. So I knew he was coming home. I could hear it. So I would steal candy from him, and it was a little Butterfinger. I was not a Butterfinger. Butterfinger didn't exist when I was a child. So yeah. What Halloween candy do you hate? I don't hate any of them. Oh, you know what I really like? Are Nerds. And I love Nerd ropes. And best of all, Nerd chewing gum, which are those big balls of gum with Nerds inside them. So when it softens and you start chewing, you get the Nerds breaking up inside. I love Halloween because I buy bags. It's an excuse to buy bags and bags of candy, give some out, but I always buy more than I need so I can eat some for the next 3 months. It's fantastic. Have a great rest of your week.